I like trying to like win and play as competitively as possible to like a certain point. Current state of the game is just not worth it. What's the point in getting higher elo? Like, so you can play cheaters more? You want to get a charm? Oh, cool. You got the charm, but then you're miserable half the time because as soon as you get into like, diamond elo, diamond champ elo, like 1 out of 3 games has cheaters in it. I could inject like, I could inject like Bolo serum in my veins right now, and I could like solo queue to fucking whatever, and I'd probably still be miserable because the cheating situation is just out of control. Chad, how long do you think this game's got? I think it could last another 10 years. If they fix the infrastructure. If they don't fix the infrastructure, I give it like, I don't know, 2-3 years, maybe. Everybody's been saying that though, right? Everyone's been kind of proven wrong. I've been proven wrong on that. Give us a good example on how to fix the infrastructure. I don't know. Add an anti-cheat. That's not battle eye. Easy. That's a pretty easy fix. Number 2, convert the game to free to play or make a sequel. Like a dedicated sequel, not an Overwatch 2. There's no competition. So it's writing a lot of the fact that there's pretty much like no solid competitors for it. That has a lot to do with it. And I don't mean competitors like esports, because there are competitors in the esports scene. I don't think the game will ever be as big as CSGO. I don't think the game will ever be as big as Valorant. But that's because the game isn't built around the esports community. As much as people keep saying it, every time Ubisoft makes a decision, and everyone's like, Pro League, I can't believe it. And they're like, hey, we need to nerf this. And everyone goes, Pro League. The game is not... It was built initially as a like SWAT like sequel or like a SWAT clone or like a companion in the same vein as like a lot of those like earlier games. And then it was like, okay, this game is fucking dying, right? I don't know if people fucking remember this or not, but I do. This game looked like it was going to be a complete fucking write-off. And then they realized, oh, wait, we actually have, like, the components here for, like, a really, really, like, solid esports game here. Like a CSGO-ish sort of vibe. Let's go for it. And that breathed a lot of life into the scene, and it was really useful for it. But it's always tried to retain that, like, it's always tried to get its appeal from its uniqueness in terms of its mechanics and its design. Like, as a gameplay loop for gamers, not necessarily, like, esports sweats. Like, don't get me wrong, there's plenty of esports sweats who play the game, but that's not the target audience, right? The target audience, right, as far as annoying as it is to say, right? The target audience is Captain Kyle, who sits in Vault Villa for 3 minutes and picks Captain, right, and just kind of holds an angle, right? That's why, whenever they design characters like Sens, everyone's like, what the fuck? What am I supposed to do with this? Because it's too esports-centric. Like, Sens is an example of a character that's too comp-focused. Because you can't really explain those concepts to people, right? Because they never encounter them. Even just the vocabulary, right? Like, what's an execute? What's a site execute? What's a cross? Right? These are all things that people don't play around. Ubisoft's caught.
10 seconds.
They realize that the only way to keep the game alive is content cycles. Every 3 months, new operator or something, right? New operator, some balance changes to shake things up a little arcade mode, new skins, right? It needs content. It needs to follow that games as a service model. But the more shit that they add, the more complex the game gets, the more confusing it gets, the higher the barrier of entry gets, right? Azami is a great example. Great operator. Not a lot of people are going to know how to deal with her. Osa, great operator. People don't know how to deal with her. Sens, people are going to probably figure out how to use Sens. Oh shit, well I guess I can play Warden, but like, I don't know how to fucking count it. Like, so you have this whole situation, right, where you have people that are like investing time into the game from a sweaty perspective versus people who aren't. And most people just want to fucking like queue up and go like nutty bolo, like fucking bang bang bang, right? That's why most people play the game because nutty bolo, bang bang, and you know, the gadgetry aspect, some of the gameplay loop with the gadgetry is interesting. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like in a lot of ways the game's just kind of a victim of its own design, which is a shame, which is sad, because I think it's the best fucking tech shooter on the market. It's so rich. It's so dense. There's so many cool, interesting components to it. So many moving parts that make it so enjoyable to watch from an esports perspective and also enjoyable to play. But if it's too complicated, right, people are just going to kind of look at it and be like, eh. So it's not marketed, first and foremost, as like an esports-centric game, for one, right? And it needs to keep the esports component interesting in order to attract, don't drop that, in order to attract new players. In order to, people want to see the new characters used in competitive. They want to see like new stuff happen. They want to see the game expanded upon in interesting ways. If the game remains too inaccessible for people to watch the new content, played at that level, then all the work you're doing for putting it in the competitive environment isn't going to work because people aren't going to fucking see what you're talking about. Should UB stop making new operators at one point? I don't know. I mean, they've already tried making simpler operators is the thing. Like, I was going to say they should make more simple operators, but like, Flores is pretty straightforward. Thorn, Thunderbird, like these are all pretty straightforward characters. But you can't just keep adding like brain-dead characters, right? Like, you still have to keep it interesting to keep like your core audience, like your really, really dedicated players, like interested. So it's tough. Like, I don't know. I wish I had the answers. That's why I think like they need to pick one. They need to pick one, right? They need to. This was Yubi's first mistake. Okay. When they realized that the game, when it first came out, when they realized that the game was going like. When they realized that was happening, they shouldn't have like fucked around. They shouldn't have done this whole like, oh well, we kind of want to keep the casual people around. We kind of want to, you know, it's not like, no, fuck that. What they should have done around year 2, year 3 is just like, this is a fucking esports game. Esports. I fucking love, you know, SpongeBob. I fucking love esports. That's what they should have done. They should have just fucking like doubled down on that aspect of it because they got the marketing like wrong. They gave mixed signals as to a lot of the decisions that they made because they always like go back and forth with it, right? Like sometimes they'll do a change and it benefits the casual community. Sometimes they'll do a change and it benefits the pro league community. But the problem is that like half of the changes that they do for the quote-unquote casual community feel like they're aimed at the pro league community, like movement. Like they keep fucking with the movement. Oh, we don't want the game to be too gunplay focused, so we're gonna fuck around with the movement again and again and again and again and again. And it's like the game's like so slow compared to how it used to handle, right? And then people look at that and they're like, oh, well, the reason they're doing that is because of pro league. Well, like half of people in pro league half of people in pro league would benefit from the game being more like fucking like Bolo Nutty fucking quick peek, right? So it's, you know, it's not directed at pro league because most pro league people would prefer it in a more. They want to be able to use their talent to win rounds. And I think they're going like, I think they're tacking too far away. I think they're like tacking too far in the direction of like, okay, we have to make it slower and like more deliberate. And now it's just like, it's like scaring people away because the more and more they tack in a more tactical, like Tarkov-y fucking like SWAT direction, it's going to do the opposite. It's not going to make it more accessible. It's going to make it less accessible because then the people who are coming to the game for the mechanics, for just the gunplay, are gonna fucking leave. And I don't know. It's frustrating, you know? I wish they just kind of made up their mind a long time ago instead of trying to like figure it out 7 years. But then again, I can say the same shit, right? I'm sure plenty of people would have preferred for me to fucking figure out what I want to do with my fucking YouTube channel. Is he making Valorant? Is he not making Valorant? I don't know.